The book I'm reviewing in this video is WWE Journey into Darkness. This was printed in 2005 by World Wrestling Entertainment, written by Michael Chiappetta. This is actually the backstory, a novel portraying the backstory of a WWE wrestler, Kane. Now, as many WWE fans know, the storyline, because they're not real brothers, but not biological brothers, but the storyline in WWE have Kane and The Undertaker as brothers. Now, this chronicles the backstory of Kane and The Undertaker from the living with their parents, who were in this novel given as Randall Calloway. Calloway is actually The Undertaker's real surname, and Susanna Kane, which also explains the Kane name of that Glenn has taken. Incidentally, it also uses their real first names. Kane is Glenn Calloway, and The Undertaker's real name is Mark Calloway, and Mark Calloway he is in this novel. The story begins with the Kane and The Undertaker, Glenn and Mark, living with their parents in Marfa, Texas, Marfa, Texas, where Randall and Susanna, their parents, ran the Calloway Funeral Parlor. Now, as many wrestling fans know, the story behind Kane and The Undertaker are that there was a fire in the funeral home which burnt it to the ground and separating the two brothers, and unfortunately killing their parents in the process. Now, I have to say, it is an extremely good novel, and I'll show you the cover. Ignore the bit on the side there, that's just damage to the cover. You see there the face of Kane. It actually is a very well written book. Like I said, published in 2005, written by, as you see there, Michael Chiappetta. I'm sure you can still get it on different book websites, and I've seen it in a couple of websites, web shops, and I'm sure if you ask in a major bookshop, they may be able to order it for you. Again, it starts off with Mark and Glenn, Undertaker and Kane. It starts off it tells the story mostly of Kane, to be honest, as he gets separated from his brother Mark, The Undertaker, after the fire. Of course, we later learned that The Undertaker thought that Kane was actually deceased in the fire, although he was separated from his brother, taken into care after he was treated for his severe burns that he received in the fire. It follows him being pushed around different foster care homes and different places, being looked after as a child, to meeting up with Paul Bearer, who incidentally in the storyline is also supposed to be his father. The storyline goes to there that Paul Bearer, or Paul Grimm as he's also known in this book, had an affair with Susanna Kane, and the result of that was Kane himself, Glenn himself. So it's it doesn't cover the entire story of that. It actually just starts with the fire in the parlour home, in the funeral parlour, and then it proceeds again, like I said, having Kane being pushed around different foster homes, different care places, and drifting around doing various jobs, until he finally meets up with Paul Bearer again, who at that point was turning on The Undertaker in about 1996. It also follows Kane travelling to Spain, training in what now would be underground bear fighting, kind of mixture of mixed martial arts, and then eventually making his debut in the WWE. It's a very well written book. It also deals with his teenage years with Katie Vickers, and it really does a lot of really does go really in depth talking about Kane and his life over the years. Most of the story is actually based around his teenage years, and then it kind of skips uh, about so a lot of things. It actually mentions about the Katie Vick's death. It also talks about him doing various jobs, working in various places, and just it kind of goes back a couple of times to the fire as well. His thoughts on the fire, and then slowly explains the steps that Kane did to escape the fire. It is a very very good book, and it's very well written. Obviously, WWE approved, the official WWE release. Uh, it actually it talks a lot in depth about, like I said, his teenage life, his feelings, him getting burned. It does say that he was. It doesn't mention the name of the condition, but he was supposedly born with a condition where he doesn't feel a lot of pain. Something to do with nerves, and the nerves not working properly. So, as we know, Kane and the Undertaker characters both can take a lot of punishment in the ring. Obviously the traditional sit up from the lying position that they do. Obviously, both have done that in shortly after their debuts. We saw obviously Undertaker made it famous, and Kane, portraying his brother, decided to take that character trait anyway, character trait, and use it as well. I have to say it's very well written, a lot of in depth. It tells you a lot of details about, like I said, the history of Kane. Like I said, going around doing different jobs, eventually quitting a job when he sees Paul Bearer turning his back on the Undertaker around SummerSlam '96 and siding with Mankind. That's the point where Kane sees it on TV, quits the job he's in, goes to Cleveland, meets up with Paul Bearer, and they eventually plot to take down the Undertaker. And it falls. With they team up, and Paul Bearer gets Kane a job with the WWE, and then makes his debut, and then it goes up to just about 1998, and it has up to the point where the two actually, the Undertaker and Kane actually team up for the first time. It does mix in fact and fiction, as it obviously mixes in fact and fiction being the timelines of what's happening with the Undertaker storyline. Obviously, we know SummerSlam '96, Bearer in the Boiler Room Brawl match turned on Undertaker, so it's got various steps that you genuinely, obviously, we know happened, real life, kind of storyline in the WWE, true moments in history, mixed in with a lot of the fiction, talking about Kane as a character. We all know Kane really wasn't. There was never any funeral parlor fire. Obviously, he was Isaac Yankem and Unabomber and various things before he was the one chosen to portray the Kane character, and I have to say he has done an excellent job with that character. There are some characters in wrestling or personas that you would say cannot be portrayed by anybody else, and this is one of them. I'll read a small section, just to give you and it's very simplified. It's some of the language is adult. There is F's, there is swears in this. It's because it's trying to explain such a serious situation. Obviously, Kane being burned, Undertaker being under the belief that his brother is actually dead, and then of course it talks about Paul Bearer coming out and saying that Kane isn't dead, that he's ready to introduce Kane to the world, and he makes his debut at the Hell in a Cell match, which was Bad Blood, October 1997. Sadly, the same day that the late Brian Pillman passed away. This is the. I'll just read this page. This is the Kane debut. It's at the Hell in a Cell, Bad Blood, 1997. Kane mumbles the names to himself, even as the crowd around him was still chanting for Undertaker, chanting for the tombstone, the end of the match, the dead man's ascension once more to the very throne of professional wrestling's kingdom. He caught Bearer's eye. It was time. Undertaker, Kane yelled, and at that moment the lights in the arena faded to black. In the cage, about to deliver the finishing blow to his opponent, Undertaker stopped and frowned. What was the matter with the lights? Where were the lights? He looked to the announcer's table. Vince McMahon was on the mic, and he seemed as confused as anyone. Then an organ began to play, and a murmur spread through the crowd. A murmur consisting of a single name, Kane. Undertaker turned and saw his fate coming down the aisle, walking towards him. Kane reached for the door to the cage and ripped it off. He didn't know his own strength, he supposed, studying the broken hinge for a second before stepping inside. And then, at last, he was face to face with his brother. It was Glenn. Mark knew that in an instant. The eyes, even behind the mask he could see them. One brown, one blue. How this was possible he didn't know, but it was his brother. Bearer at least hadn't been lying about that. Nearly 20 years had passed since they had last looked at each other face to face. Back then Mark was a few inches taller and was more muscular, but time had changed him. That's just the story and also the debut of Kane. I have to say, it's a really good book. It fills in a lot of really detail about Kane. Again, it's from the Kane's point of view. Tells the story of Kane, of Glenn Calloway. Obviously, his not real name, but given in this novel it is. It really is a great novel. That's on page 271, and it continues to approximately 315, including the prologue, which is just a short couple of pages notes about Undertaker and Kane meeting in their parents' graveyard, and talking about being brothers and wanting to actually team up, to try and put their past behind them. Obviously, like I said, it goes between fact and fiction when it comes to Kane and WWE. Obviously, real dates and real things that happened in the kind of like the real WWE, and it's really it really does give a lot of detail. It really is amazing the amount of it even gives the date of the fire. I was trying to find it there. The date of the fire was Saturday the 7th November 1987. That's how much detail it gives you. It actually gives you the date of the fire. It talks about the parents. It talks about Kane, like I said, Kane going to Spain, travelling in kind of mixed martial arts, bare knuckle fighting, and getting ready to enter the WWE. Like I said, a lot of it's Kane's teenage years, and again with Katie Bick, and explains exactly what happened to her. Kane mostly stays in Marfa, Texas. After the fire, it doesn't give an indication of what supposedly happened to the Undertaker, or it doesn't really say, but you get the impression that obviously with Paul Bearer being the Undertaker's manager, for whatever reason, it seems to indicate that Paul Bearer supposedly kept the Undertaker away from his brother. For what unknown reasons, it would be good to actually It would have been good to actually maybe have an accompanying one for the Undertaker. Exactly how the character, obviously not just the character Undertaker, became separated from his brother. That's not really explained. Uh, Obviously, like I said, Paul Bearer was instrumental in both men. Obviously, supposed to be Kane's father, the long time manager of the Undertaker. They actually in real life knew each other before the WWE wrestling, when they were both in Texas, and I believe it was USWA, after World Class Championship Wrestling had been taken over by Jerry Jarrett, and that is actually obviously they were hired about the both at the same time, uh, and Brother Love was just the Undertaker's manager for the first little while, until, as Undertaker says in his Fab Four interview, until Paul Bear business concluded where he was and could join him in the WWE. That is actually a genuine statement, although actually, as he wasn't Paul Bear then, and he was actually Percy Pringle in the Independence as a manager. He did have genuine business and dates he had to do for various companies, including USWA, that he had to finish up his dates before he could actually join the WWE. And again, this is a very good book. It gives you a lot of detailed background information. The whole story of Kane is, you see in wrestling, you don't get a lot of background story to wrestlers. Um, you may get that, may get a couple of certain aspects of wrestling. Now, obviously, for the sake of storylines, it would be ridiculous for, uh, especially for a heel like Kane is still at the end of this novel, because it was just about the mid 1998 it finishes. He was still supposed to be a heel. Obviously, it's bad for storylines if you explain the character fully, but very few characters have such a detailed background given to them. Again, it's an official WWE book. Uh, you see there, it's got the WWE books. It's an official release. So this obviously being WWE approved, obviously WWE released as well. So it is a really good book if you want to know a lot about the background to Kane, the story of him growing up. Again, like I said, it would be great to have one of the Undertaker to go in more detail about how he got separated from his brother, what exactly they got told, what he got told, how he that his brother was dead, what the Undertaker did when he was growing up from that after the fire, before entering WWE. It really is uh, really a lot of the fire. Obviously, like you said, even gives you a date. The date was actually 10. So the date was actually 7th November 1987 was actually the 10th anniversary of the fire. So, but it really does give you a lot of really great detail and a great story about Kane, the character of Kane. As and I have to say, Kane returning last night, the other night with the mask, no, 2 nights ago, with the mask on. I've seen pictures. Obviously, some people can take cameras now, and whatever reason the cameras worked, you didn't really see the mask properly with the red lighting. But some cameras have actually been able to, I don't know, somehow cut through the red lighting and get a good picture of Kane in the new mask. And it looks, it's just a really dark red mask. It really does look good, and I hope he's back to being the monster that he is. Again, Journey into Darkness, the paperback cost me £6.99, but I'm sure I got it when it was first released in 2005. I'm sure you can get it cheaper. Look on online retailers, different book websites. I'm sure you can get it cheaper. If you really are a fan of Kane or The Undertaker, I think it's really worth a read. It's certainly a lot of really good stuff, like I said. Obviously, a more maybe I don't. Obviously, the story of Kane has not been told fully. He's still around wrestling. it would be fantastic, obviously, to bring maybe another novel, maybe sometime in the future to bring it up to date. I don't know whether W really are interested in novels. They kind of lost interest in novels after the uh, failure of the was it Big Apple, New York Apple takedown or whatever, some stupid novel where a lot of WWE guys were spies. It was a bit stupid, but this really is a good novel. WWE Journey into Darkness. I'd highly recommend it if you're a Kane fan. It does tell you a brilliant background story of Kane, of how he became the wrestler he is today, and like I said, it finishes it in mid 1998. It really is a good read. I'd highly recommend it if you're a Kane fan, Undertaker fan, wanting to know more about the background. Again, you don't normally get this amount of background story to a character. It is really, really good. I would highly recommend this book. Like I said, you could buy it on various online book retailers. Just put in a search engine, Journey into Darkness novel, Michael Chiappetta. I'll tell you, Michael Chiappetta, Michael Chiappetta is Chiappetta. It really is a really good novel book. I highly recommend this book.